I would like to thank you all for being here today to celebrate the launch of the first ever Zagat Guide to Harlem. Let me begin by thanking the Studio Museum for hosting us. It's good to be back here. I love this place, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here. In addition to Tim and Nina Zagat, who will speak after I do, and then Lloyd Williams from the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce, I want to thank Deborah Wright, Ken Knuckles, Hope Knight, all the people involved in this project, from Carver Federal Savings, Citibank, the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone, and the Empire State Development Corporation. I want to thank the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce, the Harlem Business Alliance, and the Abyssinian Development Corporation for their support. I'd like to thank Senator Keith Wright, who is here, and Councilwoman Federica, thank you for being here. And I'd like to say a special word of appreciation to Marisa Savetti from our foundation, who has worked very, very hard on this project. And I want to apologize for my voice. I think this is the resident of a reasonably long airplane flight I recently took. All of you have probably eaten in a Zagat-rated restaurant or used the guide to plan an evening in New York. But with all the restaurants, museums, and cultural institutions here in Harlem, we thought the neighborhood deserved its own. And our foundation was glad to work with the Zagat Survey to sponsor the project. When I was president, we established the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone here in Harlem. It brought a total of about $300 million in investment to the community. And since my foundation moved to the neighborhood in 2001, we've been working with small business owners to help them compete in the growing urban marketplace and improve their revenue. It's great to see many people featured in the guide today, and several are here in the audience. From the street vendors to the world-famous restaurants, small businesses have been the lifeblood of the Harlem economy. Today, many of them are struggling, as businesses are all over America, with the recession. And here, with competition from larger chain stores who move in because they see that Harlem is alive and kicking and a great opportunity. It's difficult for small businesses because they have to spend all their time working to serve their customers and make it through the day, and have less time and fewer resources to solve whatever problems are there. Our Harlem Restaurant Program and our Entrepreneur Mentoring Program is focused on providing small businesses with the tools to compete in the modern urban marketplace. The restaurant program provides interactive small group workshops run by industry experts to restaurant owners in Harlem to enhance business knowledge and skills. The Entrepreneur Mentoring Program, a partnership with Inc. Magazine, facilitates high-impact mentoring relationships between some of the most successful entrepreneurs and business leaders in America, with entrepreneurs running emerging growth companies in Harlem and communities like Harlem. We now are also working in Oakland, Chicago, other parts of New York, and Newark. And we're building programs in several other cities, including Philadelphia. But I want to talk about the guide today. This is a tribute to the hardworking men and women who have cultivated these small businesses. From restaurants that offer home cooking made from recipes passed down for generations, to cafes that inspire poets like Langston Hughes, and shops with unique gifts and rich traditions. We hope the guide will not only showcase all there is to see and do in Harlem, but drive more customers, residents, and visitors alike to visit Harlem establishments and spark the creation of even more locally owned businesses. This is the spirit we're celebrating in the coming Harlem Week, and we're working with the Chamber of Commerce and Harlem Week to distribute the guides at many of the events taking place. We also plan on making the guide available free through our website and at many of the establishments here in Harlem. So for those of you who don't live here, and for those of you who will see this reported in the media, I encourage you to come to Harlem and be part of the continuing development and revitalization. It's a great place to visit, a great place to call home. I'm proud that our foundation is a part of it. And now I'd like to ask our ultimate benefactors, the Zagats, to come forward and say whatever they would like to say. I also want to say we have something very important in common with them. Tim and Nina are the only couple that I know well from around here who also went to law school at Yale together.
Thank you, Mr. President. We were a couple of years ahead of the Clintons at Yale Law School. That was the last time we were ahead of the Clintons. We're obviously grateful for the work President Clinton is doing and the work that the foundation does all around the world. But being here, most particularly, the attention that the foundation has brought from the world to Harlem. I'm not sure that you know this, but in fact, I'm pretty sure you don't know this. It's been in the press before, but my family really comes from Harlem. My mother grew up on Morningside Heights, and my father, in his early days, lived on 117th Street and Lenox Avenue. And my parents got married at Butler Hall, so I call myself a second-generation Harlem boy. We've been thinking about producing this guide for a long time, and we were really honored that so many other people, and particularly the Clinton Foundation, felt this was a good thing that we needed to do, should do. The fact is, and I'm very glad to have Lloyd Williams, my friend, standing behind me. Lloyd, about 10 or 15 years ago, I was head of tourism in New York, and Lloyd said, "Have you been to Harlem recently?" And I said, "No, I haven't." He said, "I'd better bring you up and show you what's really going on here." And one night, driving around with Lloyd, going into restaurants and seeing one place after another, made me feel good. And the reason it made me feel good is that it was so clear that Harlem has been going through a renaissance, and it is something that has caused us to come back after that again and again and again. And I hope this guide will do the same thing, that it will cause people, not just people who live here, who are obviously the low-hanging fruit for business, but to introduce people who haven't been here to come here, because anybody who comes to Harlem, I think, is going to feel like coming back the way we did. So that's the big thanks that I have to say to Lloyd, aside from the fact he's been very nice to us in many other ways over a long period of time. This guide highlights 323 of Harlem's restaurants, night spots, shops, and attractions with ratings and reviews that are based on the collective opinions of thousands of local people. These establishments reflect the rich culture of Harlem and are evidence of the hard work and determination of local leaders and entrepreneurs over the years. I don't need to tell anybody here that Harlem is a great cultural and historic destination, but it is our hope that the guide will become a draw for many people who don't know that and will convey the message to them. We are joined by representatives today of some of the top-rated establishments in the guide, and Nina will mention just a few of them in a second. But I think it would be worth recognizing one thing about the guide that is special. The guide is not Tim and Nina Zagat saying that something is good. It's thousands of your customers rating, let's say, the restaurants separately, the food, the decor, the service, and the cost. So it's really coming from many, many, many people other than us. And it is effectively for the service, for the restaurants and for the shops and for the attractions, it's a free market study. So if you get a 22 for food, that's great, but if you get a 16 for service, that's telling you the very same people who think your service could use a little help compared to your food. So I hope that when you read the guide, you will see it in that way as a tool for your own businesses. Now, that being said, I want to just say, all of the restaurants and all of the stores in here, we think, are standouts. And Nina will speak to the subject of who a few of the top ones are.
So, the top food, the restaurants that have the top food ratings in the guide are Pastici, Covo, and Rayo's. We understand that Rayo's is taking reservations now for 2021. The top appeal category in nightlife, number 1 is Nectar, number 2, Mittens, number 3, Smoke, number 4, 67 Orange Street. Top quality in shopping, Davis and Warshaw, followed by Carol's Daughter, and of course many more in the guide. And from our Food Lovers Guide, top quality goes to Harlem Vintage, and next, Katrina Paris Flowers. So congratulations to all of you. You've all made a great contribution to the community, and we hope as a result of this guide, the community will get even bigger. And at the end of this morning's meeting, we'll be giving you all awards. Also, we'd like to introduce Lloyd Williams of the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce and Chairman of Harlem Week.
First and foremost, thank you all for coming out. To my assemblyman, Keith Wright, and my council member, Viverito, thank you so much. It is appropriate that on the cover of the Harlem Zagat Guide is the Apollo Theater. And because Janelle Prokop, the president and CEO, is here. Janelle, could you just stand for a second? This year, we are celebrating the 75th anniversary of the Apollo Theater. So let me go through this real quickly and not hold you up. The theme for Harlem Week this year is our 35th anniversary. And our theme is historic celebration. So this year we're celebrating the 110th anniversary of the birth of Edward Duke Ellington, the 100th anniversary of the NAACP, the 100th anniversary of the Amsterdam News, the 75th anniversary of the Apollo Theater, the 60th anniversary of the fabulous Carver Federal Savings Bank, the 50th anniversary of Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater Company, 50th anniversary of Motown this year, 45th anniversary of Jazz Mobile, the 40th anniversary of the Dance Theater of Harlem, 35th anniversary of WBLS-FM are some of the historic celebrations. Let me also say, about 8 years ago, in concert with our great friend, leader, and associate, as we call him, the chairman, Honorable Charles B. Rangel. And by the way, Congressman Rangel is not with us today because he had a long-standing family commitment that he had to take care of this morning. So he asked me to make sure that you knew that, because I don't need to tell you his respect and regard for President Clinton and for the Zagats and, of course, Studio Museum. About 8 years ago, Deborah Wright, Ken Knuckles, Charlie Rangel, Jim Capella, a number of us came together, and there was a question about where our president was going to have his official office. And we were one on it that he chose to do it in New York City. And then there were questions about our office on 57th Street, and they raised some issues. And we said, why don't we go snatch him, right, Deborah, and see if we can get him to come to Harlem? And so Ken Knuckles and Charlie Rangel and the rest of us looked around, and we were able to find some extraordinarily good space at 55 West 125th Street. And there was a big ceremony that we had right across at the State Building, welcoming the president to Harlem as our neighbor at the beginning of Harlem Week. And he has been an extraordinary neighbor. Yes, the cameras are here and we're glad to see you. But he is also visiting our restaurants, our museums, our shops when the cameras are not here. He is not a stranger to this community. He's not just here in terms of title, he's here in terms of substance. Working with Janelle Prokop and the rest of us on the Apollo Theater, helping Harlem Week, helping the Empowerment Zone, on and on and on. Let me then move on. Deborah Wright, President, CEO of Carver Bank Corp. Deborah, this stand, please. I want people to see you. 60th anniversary. Ken Knuckles, the President of Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone, please. Howard Johnson, the Chief of Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture. Patricia Ricketts, Vice President of Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce. John Davis, Executive Board Member of the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce, who worked with us on this initiative, and Winston Majette, the Executive Director of Harlem Week. Okay? I want also to thank Mike Gardner, because Mike was planning this program, and in the middle of planning the program, and we had this date, our president determined that he would go to North Korea and save 2 young ladies who needed his support and assistance, and I think we should give him a great we're doing it, so we made it happen. Let me then close by saying the following. Harlem businesses, what has happened, and we have a photo survey and study that we have brought a few with us. What we have found is that from July 1 of 2008 to June 30th of 2009, over 35% of all of the small businesses in Harlem closed down. Trying to survive this economic crisis, banks not lending to banks, therefore not lending to businesses. So the Harlem business community, especially small business community, is in crisis. But think of it in perspective, because think of the auto industries that have closed down, the Starbucks that have closed down, the Macy's that have closed down. Understand that what's happening in Harlem is being felt even worse in the South Bronx and Brownsville and other sections of the country. So what are we asking you to do? Support our local businesses. We need you to come out and support our local businesses. Closing in comments, it's 35th anniversary of Harlem Week, so I'm going to give you 3 things to focus on. One, on Saturday, the 15th, on West 135th Street from Malcolm X Boulevard to St. Nicholas Avenue. It's called Summer in the City, and it's a children's festival. There's a historic Black College Fair. There is a fabulous event called Dancing in the Streets that we invite everybody to come and dance. And those of you who know what the electric slide is in the Chicago Step, we're going to do Dancing in the Street. And there's going to be a tribute to Bob Marley, reggae dancing in the street, followed by an event called A Quiet Storm with some extraordinary groups. On Sunday, the big day, Harlem Day, it's a Harlem tribute to Michael Jackson entitled We Are the World. And we have 3 stages of major entertainment, different genres, calypso, reggae, hip-hop, blues, gospel, R&B, you name it. And every stage, every artist is doing at least one song in honor of Michael Jackson. So we invite you to come out to that. there is a very special health fair taking place, New York City Health Village, taking place on 135th Street between 5th Avenue and Malcolm X, and an antique auto show taking place. Fabulous, you gotta see this. A historic parade of the autos through Harlem each year. The Children's Festival. Last comment is on the 22nd of August, in concert with the New York Roadrunners and their president, Mary Wittenberg, is here. Mary, stand up, please. It is the 40th anniversary of the New York Marathon. You need to know historically, as Tim Zagat told you about his roots in Harlem, that the marathon started under the support and leadership of the Rudin family. Lou Rudin, Jack Rudin, their father was a runner. You should know that the Rudin families are from Harlem. They lived on then 7th Avenue between 112th and 111th Street. The father of Jack and Lou Rudin was a runner, and he ran through Central Park. He came together with then Borough President Percy Sutton and said, why don't we put something together? And that was put together 40 years ago. It's now the largest event in New York City called the New York City Marathon. And so what we're doing on this Saturday the 22nd in closing for you is there's a New York Family Health Walkathon taking place on that day, so we can deal with the issues of obesity and diabetes and get everyone to come out and participate. And then there is the first annual Percy Sutton Harlem 5K Run. And we already have over 2,000 persons already signed up from around the world to come into Harlem for the Percy Sutton 5K Run. So in closing, our theme that we came up with many years ago was you haven't done this town till you've done it uptown. So do it up in Harlem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I wanted to say a couple of things. First, thank you, Lloyd, for your incredible devotion to Harlem and your service. I thought of two things when you were mentioning the music festival in honor of Michael Jackson. A few years ago, Michael Jackson came to the Apollo Theater at my request, and he did me a huge favor, and a lot of you were there that night. But the show was almost too big for an inside theater. By the time my eardrums calmed down, I realized just one more time what a unique gift he had. The other thing is this dancing in the street thing. I saw on television Hillary boogieing with those women, and you see that? Yeah. In Kenya, and I thought, well, you know, Kenya, Harlem, what am I, chopped liver? Maybe I could get her to come and do that here. And finally, let me close on a serious note. You really ought to read this closely, because when you read the descriptions of, just take the restaurants, you realize that every time they describe some funny thing or some distinct characteristic, there's people there working who thought for hours about how they were going to present themselves and try to make their restaurant attractive and trying to make people want to come there. I think it's one of the bravest things in the world to start a customer-based small business. It takes real courage and caring and effort. And just a cursory run-through of this book will show you that. So I encourage, along with Lloyd, all of you to actually use this remarkable book. I hope it does a lot of good for Harlem, and I hope it brings you all a lot of enjoyment. Thank you very much.